Five, four, three, two, one. We have ignition. Strap in. You're about to listen to the hottest sounds.
Dream Catcher Radio.
Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually, you've been planted.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You could stare me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground.
Okay, we are back, and good afternoon with the Ralph Christie Injustice case. We're now on episode 16. Would you believe it? It has gone actually so quick. And what's really interesting on this as well, on the back of this, we've had so many people contact us with similar issues or not too dissimilar issues to what Ralph alleges that he went through. And it's very difficult for us as a radio station. We've only got limited airtime. Whilst we are 24/7, but we can't be airing constantly about injustice cases because we have the benefit to enjoy lots of different interesting subjects here on the radio station. But we do dedicate 4 hours a week to injustice cases. That's outside of replays that may happen as well. So joining us back again is Ralph Christie. How are you doing, Ralph?
I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, there still seems to be a lot of issues in the world, doesn't there? Not so far from where I am in the south of Crete, but let's hope all this nonsense sorts itself out.
It's certainly getting very messy. And I think there's a lot more to come, to be honest, from many different countries, unfortunately. There's so many countries now being impacted by this. The aftermath, if there is going to be one, is going to be immense. Really is my belief. But I can't see it being ended in 4 weeks.
No, and it's all based on greed, isn't it? Other countries' resources and okay, you might have big economies and massive debt and all the rest of it, but what belongs to one country, it actually belongs to them, and no other countries really should go and take it. I mean, Greece is one of the richest countries in the world for resources, but on paper, it's meant to be the poorest. This is how.
That's the best way to be, though, in the room, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't have a lot of money, but I have a few assets. So it's like, what would you rather have? And and West Yorkshire Police and everybody else has certainly tried to take them off me, but through their own stupidity, from what they did in October 2009, here we are now, 17 years later, still trying to unravel the carnage that they caused, down to investigating Cedric first the year before that.
Yeah, I want to remind the audience actually, because quite often a lot of people will join halfway through the series, and they want to try and understand it all, and really without going back through previous episodes, you won't quite understand it, because we've only got 2 hour slots, and we try and cram in as much as possible into each of those slots. But there's a lot of information to try and bring to the audience's attention. So effectively, Ralph Christie was a property developer in Crete, and basically was accused of fraud by investors here in the UK, only a few initially, and then it expanded, then involved West Yorkshire Police, who basically put a sledgehammer to it very quickly by emailing all his investors. And that was the start of the demise of its business. In my opinion, that's the way I see it happening.
Yeah, the sledgehammer that you mentioned was September 2009 by DC Skidmore and D.I. Taylor, but you have to remember the year before that, in September 2008, they realised that Cedric was a bent career cop. So we're back to this kind of, how would you describe it, a merry-go-round that started in 2008 with Cedric. And I do believe the merry-go-round is now coming to a close in 2026 because it didn't nothing to do with me. I've just been doing my job from day one in Crete. Done a 7-year sentence for a crime I never committed. Still, and I know we're talking about your international listeners, but the people that I'm more concerned about is the people that are down funds because of the idiocy of the economic crime unit of West Yorkshire Police in October 2009. And these are people, even if they've gone prosecution or are still defence or still standing by me, they've just been hoodwinked and nutmegged, making out that I'm this international money launderer, fraudster, which I clearly wasn't, because I was cleared in Greece of it in 2013, and then it was very dubious the counts I got convicted of, because they were down to my brother and Cedric and my son Declan.
Yeah, and obviously you got a couple of other people there as well. Stephen Thomas, Susan Watt.
And the conspiracies. I got Thomas.
And your solicitor from Crete as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've asked me to read out this article, which I've not read yet. It's from a newspaper called The Telegraph and Argus. It's dated the 27th of April, I think it's 2018, I think I can see.
Which is the day after my POCA hearing that I asked Cedric to come to and Howard Tennants to come to, and other various people, but they wouldn't, so they could try and reclaim their money or whatever, rather than it go into proceeds of crime. But yeah, this is typical of like West Yorkshire Police, how they twist the news, because I don't know if you want to read the article, but basically it goes back to Ralph Christie, who 56 was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment in March 2015 for 5 counts of fraud. Well, we know that they were all very they're all unsafe, and that I'm appealing against them. So yesterday at Bradford Crown Court, he was ordered to pay back a total of 569,990.64 to the complainants of the fraud for which he was convicted. Well, we had a €50 million trial in Greece in 2013. We had a 50 million sterling trial in the UK in 2015, and they're coming up now with a figure that's less than 600,000, the cost of a villa here or something like that, and there was no fraud even committed by me in the first place. Ramonia Senior is obviously talking to the newspaper. Well, we know all her involvement and with Cedric in 2014. It says she's the head of the economic crime unit at West Yorkshire Police, which she still is. And she says this was a complex confiscation hearing under the Proceeds of Crime Act, but the financial investigator worked tirelessly to recover the money from Christie. Well, it's complete nonsense, because it was a complex case. The UK trial should never have happened in the first place, because it was settled in Greece, which will prove lower down in the email I've sent you, brothers. And it's not a large amount of money compared to Matthew and Benedict Clark, or if are down more than that themselves because of the stupidity of West Yorkshire Police. And it says then the impact on in many cases was considerable, and at least today we have secured money back from Christie. Well, I invoiced West Yorkshire Police in May 2013 when I was on remand here for the loss of the 19 million EU grant that we got, that was ring-fenced by Sue Watt in December 2008, the massive losses of the sale from Zakros not going to the Ministry of Oman, which would have created profits of 10 million, all the 10 mortgages that I had with the Bank of Piraeus, which were cancelled when West Yorkshire Police froze the bank accounts. So of course, they're large amounts of money, but in the context of what I was doing for people here on sound investments, it's not a lot of money. So it's just how, again, West Yorkshire Police can confuse the media. And of course, Romana Senior, her name is in the report, as it was with the BBC after I was jailed in 2013.
Yeah, it goes on to say here, the order made will be robustly enforced, and if Christie fails to pay the order, he will face a further 4 years in prison, and the debt he owes to society will remain with him for life until paid in full. What do you say about that?
Well, I had a conversation with David Charity that I recorded, and we can play that on another show, where I spoke to him on the phone in 2019, where he says to me, when are you going to pay this money? And I said to him, well, when you pay me the 21 million that you owe me from 2013, which is going up at the same interest as what the West Yorkshire Police put on this debt. So theirs is 5% of what they owe me and my investors for all the losses that they've created in Crete. So, they're the ones that should be in jail, not me.
Yeah, just to give you a little tip there, statutory interest in the UK for civil debts is 8% per annum.
Yes.
That's what the
court. Yeah, well, I think Veron, the company, charged West Yorkshire Police 1% per month.
Yeah.
Which is now still ongoing. So it's a revolving door, isn't it? I haven't committed any crimes. They're the ones that started this from investigating Cedric, and Cedric says I owe him money. Complete nonsense. His was settled through his lawyer. But if you see Sue Romana Senior on the 24th of June 2019, lower down on what I've sent you, she wrote to me after I exposed all this corruption to her in her economic crime unit by an email. Well, she didn't investigate the officers. What she did was, and I don't know if you want to read that out or me, Bradis.
Go on, yeah, you read it, yeah.
Okay, this was 1:30 in the afternoon on the 24th of June. Mr. Christie, I acknowledge receipt of your email. I am unable to correspond with you anymore regarding the issues you raise as they relate to allegations of misconduct by my officers within the Economic Crime Unit and other West Yorkshire Police departments. Your emails have been forwarded to the West Yorkshire Police Professional Standards Department for review. Regards, Romana Senior, head of the Economic Crime Unit and NE Rape Unit, Protective Service Crime. So this again is 7 years ago. And who's head of the Professional Standards Department is Simon Bottomley, who was working with Cedric and Romana on, if you remember when the email was sent to Jane Thomas on the 27th of March, they were all kind of copied into it, which is the time that I got trapped by Cedric and Declan's investigations at that time. So, I'm reporting crimes to them and telling them about the massive losses that they've caused for me and my investors and friends and what have you. And what are they doing? They're just continuing on with more nonsense about me when the real criminal, who is self-confessed, is Cedric.
Yeah. And obviously Stephen Thomas has got a lot to answer for as well, hasn't he?
They've got on the bandwagon, but again, like I say, it's a merry-go-round that started with Cedric, and I think it will at some point will end with Cedric. I mean, nobody seems to have heard from him, or he's shown no interest in the program. Nobody knows where he is, and as I said before, I think he's got mental health issues, and we know that from what he's diagnosed with. So nobody seems to be taking a lot of notice of it, but I think every week we get it out there. You've had no people that have written in and said bad things about me yet, and and I think that will continue because I have to be.
That does actually surprise me. The only thing we've had is good things said. Normally we get at least a few. I've not had one.
Yeah, because I'm a good man. I'm still I still have issues here with people I want to help, trying to help, and they then have helped me, and then they get cold feet again. But honestly, we are wanting to. I am wanting to make sure that nobody loses out with anything that they've done with me in Crete, because it was all set off with the right intentions.
Okay, let's move on. We've got another document here. Ralph Christie ruling Greek trial October 2013. Greek criminal trial judgment where Ralph Christie and Jane Snowball acquitted in 2013. Snowball, who's that?
Jane Snowball, that was my
Yeah, that's your
ex-wife.
yeah, sorry. This document summarised the minutes from a court hearing in Greece regarding fraud and money laundering charges against two defendants, Ralph Christie and Jane Snowball. An interpreter was sworn in to translate between English and Greek, since defendant Christie does not speak Greek. Christie and Snowball appointed defence lawyers to represent them. The court ruled to allow Snowball to be represented by her appointed lawyers, since her written power of attorney accurately listed her address and the presence was not deemed necessary to determine the truth. Lawyers for the victim and plaintiff of the alleged crime, Stephen Thomas, Susan Watt, who were unable to attend the hearing, requested to file civil suits and a brief suspension of the trial the following year. Goes on to further say, 7th of the 2nd. Oh, no, I don't know what. Okay, I don't know what I'm going.
That's a bit late. We'll talk about that in a minute,
Okay.
Barris. But what is here is we had a full trial in Greece, and I don't think people quite realise that. They just think it didn't happen because Stephen Thomas and Sue Watt didn't turn up. But they told lies about being attacked the night before and needed to flee Greece, which we've covered in previous programmes. But the key point that I want to make here is because Jane Snowball, my ex-wife, and I were cleared of fraud and money laundering charges in Greece. And this was against the Republic of Greece. Now, Sue Watt, in her minutes that she spoke to on the 23rd of March 2021, which is documented on her council's website, clearly stated that she was responsible for the criminalisation of a money launderer called Ralph Christie. Well, I was cleared of money laundering in both trials. And the reason I want to bring up this is because we've had some messages from South Hams in Devon, where she is still a council, wanting evidence about what she stated as lies. Well, Sue Watt has told many, many lies from day one. I mean, both judges, the three judges in Crete and Judge Durham Hall at Bradford, classed her as a liar. And you've got to bear in mind, in 2011, she was working directly for the Serious Fraud Office, West Yorkshire Police, the CPS Andrew West, and Stephen Thomas, and Stephen Thomas's lawyer, Andrew Voltus, in Athens to try and get me prosecuted or remanded. And of course, she succeeded in doing that. But once the trial comes to it, we go ahead with it. They're trying to get it pushed back another year, leaving me on remand for longer. But of course, the judges weren't having any of that because I've been on remand for 8 months. So they wanted to get on with it. They delayed it for 2 weeks. And then again, they didn't turn up because the whole of their testimony has been based on lies, because Simon and Stephen Thomas wanted to protect the tax on that 3.5 million that we've spoken about before. So that's why I wanted to clear that up, just so that the county council people in Devon have clear evidence that she's a liar, and she should not be in a position working. Well, she shouldn't have been in a position working for Ron AE in 2008. So, that's why I wanted to include that. And it does go on to say below, I don't know if you want to read that out, which is actually from the person that she tried to prosecute in Devon, Lucinda Elliott.
Okay, there's a date on here, the 7th of February 2023, not too long ago then. Mr. Ralph Christie, family Christie, trio, Crete. I hereby authorize that Mrs. Lucinda Elliott from Torquay, UK, can have full access for any correspondence between Mr. Andrew West and Miss Susie Watt relating to Operation Lagan from September 2008 to present day, for the ongoing criminal matter in Torquay Magistrates Court in Devon. Ralph Christie, what's that about then? Obviously, I know you've given, some form of power of attorney or form of authority. Sorry, form of authority.
Yeah, because we're going back to that council meeting on the 23rd of March 2021, where I was called a money launderer by Sue Watt and many other lies in her testimony to her counsel. But this was a case because Lucinda Elliott, had picked up the name of Sue Watt connected to a trial in Crete or Greece. And so she doubted the credibility of Sue Watt to actually have the job for it. Well, Sue Watt then got her counsel to bring out a criminal charge against Lucinda Elliott, who I think, as far as I know, is a magistrate and in Torquay. And she used the council's money to prosecute Lucinda Elliott, and this went on for about 2 years. And Lucinda asked me for all the documentation to be produced between Andrew West and Sue Watt. Well, there's absolutely stacks of it in Operation Langham, because we know they were working together from 2010 when they didn't arrest Stephen Thomas for his confession of rape and not sending money to Greece, and then also Sue Watt's directly working for Andrew West all through 2011 to get me remanded here. So hopefully with that, it got the paperwork Lucinda Ellicott needed, because as far as I know, she was acquitted of any criminality against Sue Watt, and I'll say December 2024, but I'm not sure on that actual date. But this is what Sue Watt has done. She, and for some bizarre powers. I mean, we go back to her connections with Keir Starmer on the Levy letter, February 2011. I mean, she's got a massive responsibility for the crippling of my companies. Okay, we are saying it started with Cedric, but she was employed by Veron for 2 years. She was working then for Stephen and Simon Thomas for 3 years after that. Did she put that on her CV when she applied for a job at the council in Devon?
Well, I don't think that's a question for me. I wouldn't know.
Well, if you fill in a CV, there's going to be a report, isn't there, from where you started and where you finished? And I just wonder what she said she did between the years of 2007 and 2013.
A lot of people make a lot of stuff up on their CVs.
Well, she was actually on the board member of Veron, a corporate Greek company, and surely you would have thought she would have included that as a plus rather than a negative.
Mm. Okay, we're coming to the end of the first segment. I want to talk about something else, Ralph. And I think it'd be quite interesting for listeners. So, your campaign of trying to fight injustice. Did it start just as soon as you got out of prison and you possibly get yourself on your feet again? How did it start?
No, it started the moment you're sentenced, really. I can remember Gratis and Tirani coming down and saying, when I'm being given my sentence, I come down and talk to you. You have no chance of appeal here, Alf. It's been a fair trial and all the rest of it. Well, we didn't know they'd been in bed with Cedric and Declan and Nikos Nikosadakis and all these Pat Brownette, before the trial. Because I think once you realise you're a miscarriage of justice, you don't wait, do you? You just think, wait, well, what's gone up here? Why am I going to prison for 7 years? And,
So were you writing lots of letters and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, of course. Even as the trial was going on. The trial in the UK shouldn't have even happened because of the, I was acquitted of exactly the same things I've just stated earlier. Cedric's report from Crete, where was that? That wasn't given. Chris Tirani acknowledged after I came out of prison that there was one, but he didn't think it was relevant. Miriam Shabab, that we spoke about before, who came to Crete for a week on investigations, was saying that everything's fine, but Cedric's doing something behind the scenes. Well, the trial shouldn't have started. Cedric appointed Judge Durham Hall, who'd given him a commendation. So I don't think it's a matter of you wait a year or something and say, I think I'm going to appeal for it. But the moment, if I was guilty, I'd have just pleaded guilty.
Mm.
Simple as that.
Did you petition MPs or lobby groups or anything like that?
I don't think they're any use, are they? There's no point. I know that Jane Thomas certainly has done the Shipley MP. I've forgotten his name now. There was one at Ripon that I went to see, but they only give you like 5 minutes inside, and you try and tell the MPs aren't they can't take it on. I mean, the police, it's a police state, isn't it? They control everything. They control the courts. I didn't expect to go to Bradford, where I've been a successful business for 20 odd years. I even thought to myself, well, I like this town. And I did. There's some great characters in Bradford, that we got on well with. And, it has a bad reputation, but it also has a good side to it. I just thought, well, I'm back in Bradford. Why on earth do they want to put me in prison? I've been in Crete for 5 years or 6 years or 10 years, and I've been exonerated over there. So it's just not going to happen. But we didn't know about all these shenanigans, insider dealing, own defense, Tayab Ali, the connections with no disclosure of Cedric and Declan's reports. Simon Bottomley not knowing anything about the trial. D.I. Taylor having a harassment order from Jane Thomas. Romana Senior not disclosing stuff to my defence when she says she will. So in answer to your question, I just got on with my miscarriage of justice the moment it happened.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion, you're as good as talking to the winds with these people. So you might as well just, talk to the wind. But it could help out passing time in prison, I guess, by writing all these letters and that sort of stuff. Just a quick one. We've only got about 3 minutes left. You've got an email list you send correspondence to every week or regularly, at least. Anyway, quite a substantial list. Who do you normally write to? I don't need names, but generally, what sort of?
I've written direct to the Chief Constable, John Robbins, who's been complicit since 2011. No response. I'm on to the Mayor Brabin at West Yorkshire Police at the moment, because she's got a responsibility to do something. I sent them directly to Ramona Senior and Cedric, that we know that they were in bed together in 2014 to nail me, to protect Cedric's criminality that he's confessed to. It's staggering, all these people. I can't believe that CPS women lawyers are protecting rapists. I can't believe that women police officers of West Yorkshire Police, you've seen that horrendous video of where is it Goddard breaks into the house where Jane Thomas, who's nearly 60, a tiny little thing, is dragged out by 4 police officers, the son videoing it. I mean, what's going on? It's like North Korea, isn't it?
It certainly doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand what the high risk nature of it was. Especially if they would definitely know her age and her vulnerabilities and that sort of stuff. To go in like that is completely unnecessary. Okay, well, let's go for a break. As per normal, give it to us.
I'm going to give you the great Jam song, Going Underground. And this is directly at Cedric, because he's certainly gone underground, hasn't he?
Really quite funny, actually. Someone asked me to play a Jam song today, actually. It was called News of the World. And actually, this is another one. You'll love this one, Ralph. Billy Bragg, Rotting on Demand. Remand.
Yeah. I appreciate all your work that you're doing and getting onto this prisoners list, because you're doing a great job, and there's just no appetite, is there, for people out there to look at people that have had miscarriages of justice. And it is one of the toughest challenges you'll have in your life, but on and on, brothers, we'll do it, mate.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next, actually, as well. All right, let's play that now. Okay, we are back. Let's move on to another document here. It's titled, My QC Chris Terriani emailed me on November 2018. I'm guessing this is to you, is what you're referring to.
Yeah, he emailed me. I obviously, you asking me earlier about when I started my appeal. Of course, I'm asking my defence about how on earth did I get convicted. So I emailed Chris Terriani and Grattage about the misconduct and Tayab Ali, and Christie sent this reply to me.
Okay, read this out because you've written a response here. So you read both parts out.
Well, okay. Well, Christie told me in November 2018, your defence at trial was conducted on the basis of the prosecution's evidence and the instructions you provided. Well, the prosecution's evidence came from Cedric and Declan, and the instructions I provided about I was cleared in Greece. What are we doing here? So apart from highlighting some of the potential pitfalls to you, Ralph, Cedric's report played no part in your defence trial.
Was that his whole response?
No, it's part of an email we spent. But the point is here, Cedric's report played no part in the defence trial. Cedric was responsible for raising one count from 2012 to April 2014 to 19 counts that I had to then go through. So my own QC admits seeing Cedric's report, but he said it played no part in it. And also Tayyab Ali and Shaban that we spoke about, who came to Greece and all the rest of it, said that Cedric was interfering with the trial before it actually started. So for my QC to say this, when I've challenged him about it, he says it played no part in it. It's quite staggering because it's obviously led to the convictions.
Okay.
So going on to the next part is about going back to Romana Senior, embroiled with this. And
before you do that, right? One bit, that's the reason why I asked about, is that his whole response.
No, I've just taken out a short paragraph of what he emailed me.
Yeah, but he says here, he doesn't even use the word arguing, right? He says highlighting some potential pitfalls. That doesn't seem like legal language, as if he's fighting your corner. Apart from highlighting some potential pitfalls. So
Gratitude to Rani and the judge and Tayyab Ali already presumed I was guilty before, a bit like you've done when you're talking about it. They made their mind up, I'm going to prison, regardless of what I say.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did a little piece on it recently.
Yeah.
So your defence at trial was conducted on the basis, the prosecution's evidence, and the instructions you provided. I'm guessing instruction number 1, I'm not guilty. Instruction number 2 would be, I think, put out the best possible defence. And also, I would ask, what defence are we putting forward? And his response here, apart from highlighting some potential pitfalls, that is weak beyond belief.
Well, 3 days into the trial, Gratitude is telling me you don't need defence witnesses because I'm going to be acquitted. And then this bastard Tirani is saying that I've been guilty of embezzlement in Greece 15 months earlier, so don't mention the Greek trial. Gratitude and Tayyab helped defend me at the Greek trial 15 months earlier, and Cedric, and Mario Cercioni, Jeff Brown, even Alan Thompson.
But it's such a casual sort of comment. Oh, right. So basically, they can talk for 20 minutes, and they will say, for example, "Oh yeah, but they forgot he didn't flush the toilet that day."
Yeah,
and that's your defence.
Well, and you've just got to look back. You've just got to look. When you look at the likes of, we go on about Lucy Letby and what have you. I mean, the poor girl's just a nurse that's been doing a job and just been scapegoated because of horrendous defence teams.
I know we're going to play shortly an audio you want us to play. Do you mind if I can just pop in there a audio with about Lucy Letby's case? It's only a short one. Do you mind?
If there's had a miscarriage of justice, do whatever you need to do.
It's only a short one because there's new information on that doctor that gave evidence. Okay, carry on. So Romana.
Yeah. So then I've answered back to Romana Senior. So Romana, where was the evidence presented by Andrew West at Bradford Crown Court regarding Cedric and Declan raising the one count in April 2014 to 19 counts by August 2014. Can you see Cedric's boss, D.I. Taylor's report attached? It's not attached to this, but this is what Tayyab Ali, my trial lawyer, and I were not shown it but QC, Chris Tarani and Stephen Grattidge were. Still haven't seen it nearly 9 years later. This is exactly Cedric's report. Cedric does a report on everything and records people, as we know. So he did a report that the CPS and West Yorkshire Police and my defence saw, but to this day I've still not seen it.
Oh, it's not good, is it?
No, it's shocking. And then I asked a question of Ramona Senior, how many times have you met Miss Sue Watt personally in secret, Ramona? You know, so
but then I guess they never respond anyway because you're guilty, and you know, just go away, Ralph. Go and live in a rabbit hole somewhere.
Well, picked on the wrong bite, hopefully, you know. That's what it is. It's a massive miscarriage of justice, and like I say, I need as much support from whoever. I mean, people are welcome to come and live in Crete. We have, as I say, a nice lifestyle and what have you. What's going on in the world? I mean, I'm not naive to what's going on in the world. It's absolutely shocking. But the idea of Crete was for decent people to have a nice life and enjoy the natural nature, the mountains, the sea, the snow, the festivals that we have here and the culture. And long may that continue, regardless of what goes on elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Can you read out the next one? Reason being, Ralph, it's come out in a very odd format. My end. On the 21st of March at 11:18.
Okay, yeah. Okay. This is an email from Jane Thomas, actually, on the 21st of March, which is, 21st of March 2021. Bear in mind, I've been back in Crete 3 years after that. It's quite interesting what she said. Good morning, Miss Senior. I am obviously being copied into many emails regarding financial matters in Crete and the UK and the corruption that surrounds the unfair trial in the UK of Ralph Christie, in brackets RC, now seems led all along by Susie Watt to cover up Stephen Thomas's crimes against me in 2006. So this is 2021. We read out an email last week, again, of somebody in 2021 that was involved. It started in 2008 with Cedric. The protection of the crimes against Stephen Thomas, against Jane Thomas from Stephen and Simon Thomas in 2006. So, you know, how much longer? You know, I mean, we like a good epic in Greece, but come on, let's have an end to this.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this is statute barred though in the UK now, against what's happened to Miss Thomas. I don't think the fraud can be statute barred. I wonder, we're saying that rape allegations can go on forever, can't they? Because you've got historic rape cases. Maybe none of it's statute barred then.
Perhaps what staggers me is that we started a program 15 episodes ago about me, and it's as much as the miscarriage of justice of Jane Thomas as it is me now. You know, and we're not doing this on purpose. We're just, it's just naturally happening because it's what's happened to me is totally wrong and what's happened to her is totally wrong. You know, I think in the next couple of weeks we're gonna have to do a couple of episodes on Declan's role in this because you know, many emails from him in 2011 and before the trial in Greece where he's supporting me, and then I'm writing to him from prison in 2016. Why is your dad in prison? You know, so
I think what happens with this sort of stuff is that there's like a chain of custody, but one thing leads to another, which leads to another question, leads to another question, and a lot of this has gone unanswered, and we're unfolding it on the radio station. For you know, it refreshes yourself, and also you have the ability now to say there's a point of reference to go back to and say, look, have a look at this, have a look at that. Because when it's just you saying it, and especially with the torrent of emails you've sent, the pitch has been
documented. And of course, our programs aren't going to disappear now. You know, they'll still be 100 years' time.
Forever.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. But I'd like, just coming back to your questions, Cedric once asked me a question when I was in prison in Crete. So I gave him the answer. Then he asked me another 10 questions. So I answered the 10 questions. Then he asked me another 100 questions. And if he just listened to the first answer I gave to the first question, he wouldn't have even had to ask the other questions. But this is the police mentality, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Asking questions is good, Ralph. I always say that on the radio station. I don't. I'm not there to interview people in terms of way of like saying you're wrong and that sort of stuff. I just like asking questions. I don't. I get people in lie to me all the time on the radio station. It doesn't bother me because the paperwork doesn't lie and what they've said previously doesn't lie
Yeah.
because it's what they've said verbally. I don't pull them up on it. I just want them to bury themselves, and then we'll deal with it later.
In my case, we've got 2 confessions.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. That is, though. That is
Which backs up that I'm speaking the truth. I don't have to make a confession. I just said, yes, my honour, I'm guilty. Give me the lesser sentence possibly, and then I can go back to Crete.
okay.
No.
Okay, let's move on. You've asked me to play an interview from the police. Can you just explain that interview? And we're going to play that next.
It's a reporting interview of DCI Bottomley after a police officer, Boot, was jailed for 26 years for stealing drugs from the police vaults or whatever, giving them to his son and then selling them on in Bradford. Which is quite interesting what Bottomley says, because he says 99% of police officers are honest and all the rest of it. But he's been in cahoots with my brother for umpteen years as a corrupt copper, and then worked with Cedric and Ramona Senior in 2014 to nail me, and also completely allowed the rapes of Jane Thomas to go not prosecuted in West Yorkshire, along with the embezzlement of the 3.5 million that Simon Thomas arranged. So, yeah, play it.
Totally unaccounted for. Secondly, I'm going to play that clip regarding Lucy Letby. I've sent it to you on your WhatsApp. Have a listen to that between now and then, and we're going to have your thoughts on it. It's very, very disturbing.
Yorkshire Police and I welcome today's lengthy sentence given to a corrupt former police officer. 55-year-old Keith Boots was sentenced to 26 years in prison after being found guilty on 16 of the 17 charges against him. Those offences related to the theft of high-value drugs, including cocaine that were taken from a police property store, possession of those drugs with intent to supply, and conspiring with his son Ashley Boots and his friend Ian Mitchell to pervert the course of justice through numerous attempts to frustrate this police investigation. Put simply, he is a criminal who was masquerading as a police officer and brought disgrace to his uniform that he once wore. In utter betrayal, whilst his colleagues were working tirelessly to protect the public by taking drugs out of our communities, he was putting those drugs back on the street for his son to sell. Keith Boots was sacked from West Yorkshire Police back in March 2016 in a private hearing, so that didn't jeopardise the criminal proceedings, and he can have no excuse for his actions. West Yorkshire Police expect only the highest standards of professional behaviour from all its staff, acting at all times with integrity, fairness and respect are non-negotiable, and of course the majority of our staff uphold and abide by those core values. However, on the very rare occasions that an individual falls significantly short of those expectations, it is only right that they are dealt with swiftly, robustly and severely, as is proven today with the length of the sentence. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all those involved in the investigation, especially those who exposed Keith Boots as offending, the Crown Prosecution Service and leading counsel in their preparation and presentation of this complex and lengthy case. Utter disgrace. Obviously, 99.9% of West Yorkshire Police are working hard to protect the public and keep them safe. We've seen the events down in London, how officers are prepared to put themselves in the face of adversity, and yet, unfortunately, here I am having to discuss a case of an officer who's betrayed us all.
And now I'm going to play the short report on the expert witness in the Lucy Letby case, which everybody believes, or anybody with any common sense, this is a massive miscarriage of justice.
Please stay for this video because this is one of the most shocking things I've heard to date in the case of Lucy Letby. This doctor, Dr. Peter Hindmarsh, was under investigation for hurting children at the time that he was allowed to give witness testimony in regards to the insulin poisoning about Lucy Letby. So he was under investigation for malpractice against patients at Great Ormond Street Hospital and another hospital, UCLH. He was under investigation. Listen to what they said. The tribunal had restrictions had been placed on Hindmarsh in the previous month after an application by the GMC. The tribunal stated, in all circumstances, the tribunal considers that there is information to suggest that Professor Hindmarsh may pose a real risk to members of the public if he were permitted to return to unrestricted clinical practice, given the number and nature of the concerns involving paediatric child patients. Now, let me tell you the outcome of the investigation into him. There isn't one. He voluntarily erased himself from medical registers, no longer practicing, and so they let go of the whole investigation into the number, get that number of patients, and he's paediatric doctor, right? So they're all child patients who had made complaints. They actually said he was a risk to the public. Now, despite all of this, some kind of handshake was made that he would be able to testify against Lucy Letby, one of the main people, the witnesses, the expert witnesses that put her behind bars. Crazy.
Dreamcatcher Radio is about capturing and creating dreams through music, chat, and debate. Empowering expression, enriching society. A go-to place for unsigned musical talent. A radio station which listens to its audience. Free speech, vibrant, engaging. Stream worldwide 24/7. Events, competitions, promotions. Always keen to have a listening ear. Contact us. hello@dreamcatcherradio.com.
Dreamcatcher Radio.
Okay, Ralph, what do you think about that?
Well, just sums it up, doesn't it? Really, totally. At my trial, I had Nola Bentham that produced a chart that was given out in the jury bungalow and what have you. The jury actually asked for the chart to be expanded and put in the deliberating room because they couldn't quite understand it. Now, I know for a fact that that chart was done by my brother Cedric because he had all my bank statements. Nola Bentham, the professional police witness, works for West Yorkshire Police, produced it. The prosecution and my defence allowed it. They got an enlarged version and put it. I don't know how big a deliberation room is or how big the version was, but of course we're back to on this chart. It says money to unknown destination. Well, it wasn't going to anywhere else but Crete, exactly where it was meant to go. So there was no unknown destinations. So in relation to what Lucy Letby's been going through, well, first of all, the police are criminals themselves. The prosecution are criminals themselves. Even your defences are criminals themselves. So all they want to do is to get a criminal person that is under investigation for child abuse to persecute a nurse. that's meant to be killing babies that are 3 or 4 days old. I can't even believe what I'm listening to. And then I'm listening to Simon Bottomley talking about 99.5% of West Yorkshire Police are not criminals, when he's worked with my brother Cedric for 20 years.
Yeah, he said, I think he said 99.9%. That leaves basically almost perfection.
Yeah. But
I wonder
yeah.
how many people the West Yorkshire Police have sacked. But going back to, I mean, to become an expert witness in the court system, it's not a straightforward process. And it looks like they've relied on a complete piece of crap.
Are you talking about my case or Lucy's?
Lucy's, yeah.
No, of course, it's all complete crap. It's a corrupt CPS, a corrupt British judicial system, and a corrupt Cheshire police force. And it goes on and on. You know, you got to look at Gillian Levers, Leicestershire Police, if you want to say that. You got to look at Norris.
Let's just analyse. Right, I've just done a quick search. In 2025, 184 police officers were sacked for gross misconduct. West Yorkshire Police. Let's have a look at how many police officers. How many police officers are in West Yorkshire Police? Let's just try and see if that 99.9% figure stacks up.
Well,
because as well, a lot of police officers get suspended many times before they even get sacked anyway.
Let's just get this in context. What you're doing is you're talking about police officers that are being sacked because they're not following the corrupt chief constable, assistant chief constable, assistant chief constable, the deputy chief constable, because this police force is the most corrupt in the UK. It has been going back to the Yorkshire Ripper. Unfortunately, my brother Cedric joined it in 1984 and became a criminal himself by his own admission. So you can't even believe a word what Simon Bottomley is saying there, or what Romana Senior said in my case in the Daily Telegraph on the 27th of April 2018. They're corrupt at the highest level. It's not to do with the ranks that join it. I feel very sorry for any police officer that joins West Yorkshire Police, whether it's 18 years old, as it's 25-year-olds or 45-year-old or whatever. They are joining a criminal organised gang.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly not 99.9%, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it only accounts just on the gross misconduct. And that's without police officers that resigned before they get sacked. It's about 2%.
Yeah.
So
let's go on to the emails I've sent you, and then I can come back and criticise more of these, because it's just so what they are writing to what Stephen Taylor has written to Jane Thomas on the June the 29th, 2010. You know.
Okay, let me read it out. Okay, Mrs. Thomas. I'm guessing she was still.
Get the title out first. The subject.
Stephen Thomas and Ralph Christie. That's the title.
Okay. Yeah.
Mrs. Thomas, the allegations which you refer to are tax evasion allegations and would come under the remit of the Inland Revenue Criminal Investigations Department. We do not have the expertise or the right to prosecute for these types of offences. Thus, I would request that you forward your concerns to them, Temporary Detective Chief Inspector Stephen Taylor, Economic Crime Unit.
There you go. So we've already know now about the 3.5 million that Jane Thomas has reported before this date. We also know that Jane Thomas reported to the police on the 10th of March 2010, Stephen embezzling money and all the rapes that had gone on before it. And we've also got that Stephen Thomas was hoiked in on the 19th of March 2010 and none of this has been investigated. So you've got this now. This police officer, D.I. Taylor, in charge of Operation Langan. Great credit. He got a tap on the shoulder for that. Probably got it on his mantelpiece at home, and he's totally ignored the fact that that I'm not the criminal. Stephen Thomas has already confessed to it, and a tax investigation or perjury is nothing to do with West Yorkshire Police.
Well, this is my thought on it, is that they accuse you of money laundering. This is money laundering, yeah, of what she's essentially accusing of. She's not interested about what tax he is paying or not paying. But anyway, but also there's also an intent here by Stephen Thomas to permanently deprive Susan, sorry,
So Jane Thomas.
Jane Thomas, sorry, I get confused sometimes. Jane Thomas of her rightful assets.
Yeah.
And that's theft.
Yeah. Totally. And we know that Stephen Thomas did an affidavit in on the 2nd of January 2007 saying that his dad and Simon hadn't sent any money to Crete and they'd already sent $1 million.
Yeah.
But
so there are crimes there that the police could investigate should they want to anyway, but there's obviously no appetite, is there, whatsoever?
Well, read the next one out, and this is from Simon Bottomley, who's just said 99.9% of West Yorkshire Police. He's the biggest. He's the one that's. Well, I don't know what to say about him.
Okay, let's have a look at this then. So we got Simon Bottomley, 4th of March, to Jane Thomas. The copying in.
Sorry, in 2014, 4th of March. Which is 6 days after Jane Thomas has had an hour and a half's conversation with Andrew West, which is 2 months after I've been illegally remanded in the UK. The dates are so important.
Okay. So just repeat that then. 4th of March 2014 to Jane Thomas, copying in Senior Romana, Stephen Taylor and Melanie Jones, title Ralph Christie, Stephen Thomas and millions of pounds. There's no prior chain to this anyway. Okay. Hi, Mr. Thomas.
Bottomley calls her Mr. Thomas. I haven't changed the email.
All right, okay, fine. The can I apologise for the fact that you're having to go around the houses to get joy with the issues that you have raised. The current position is that D.I. Taylor has assured me that he has reassessed again your information, has stated that it has no bearing on the case that is due in court, as it's either hearsay or is without foundation. That's impossible, though, isn't it? That's impossible.
Impossible. I mean, Bottomley's called her Mr. Thomas.
Ignore that bit. Anyway, that's obviously just an error. But it's impossible because, as I said to you, last time in the last episode, you got 3 easy wins. They're so easy. You don't even have to dig deep.
This guy, Simon Bottomley, is up to his nuts in it with drug dealers in Halifax. That's where he was born. His father was a senior officer in West Yorkshire Police. His daughter works for West Yorkshire Police. And I'm not completely sure, but I think his son works for Pepperidge and Bazza in Bradford now. I mean, just listening to that interview, you would just think it reminded me of Spock in Star Trek. What he was saying, everything's a complete lie.
He goes on to say he is the best person to state this, as he has all the knowledge of the case. Well, selective thinking, in my opinion. And Romana Senior and I are only acting as conduits to make sure the position is clear to you. All right, conduits to them, is it? Is that what it's about? So they're acting as gatekeepers
This is the same month that Cedric's been blackmailed by Simon Bottomley against Official Secrets Act. This is the same month that Romana Senior sends an email out on the 27th of March, copying in the same people she's copied in it. To be fair, I don't know who Melania Jones is. I've not seen that name before, but obviously she's complicit in it. It's just a den of vipers, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's see if she's
Say the CPS now. Come on,
this
this is
now
Andrew
the
West.
Assistant Chief Constable in Northern Ireland. So that's who she is now. Okay.
Oh, is it? Is it? Well, that's interesting because well done. No. Oh, well,
Yeah.
perhaps I should email her direct.
Yeah, it says basically Melanie Jones moved from West Yorkshire Police to become Assistant Chief Constable for Northern Ireland.
Well, that's exactly where Gilmore came back from Northern Ireland in disgrace, who was the Chief Constable in 2013 when I was on band in Crete, that Cedric was emailing about the corruption in West Yorkshire Police. So,
okay. This is actually quite interesting, this paragraph. I believe have also discussed the case with you again and feel the issues you raise need picking up after the court case. No, actually, that's completely wrong, isn't it? It's completely having learned everything that we've learned is actually very, very relevant. And it just shows a prime example is that the police focus on a narrative and they tend not to budge from that narrative.
Yeah. And brothers, this is the 4th of March 2014, after the court case that was meant to happen on the 27th of April against the one count with Benedict Clark. Well, it didn't happen, did it? Because Cedric and Declan have come over between that date and this date and criminalised me with another 18 counts. So I'm at this time as this is going on, I'm in remand illegally by the lies of Andrew West on the 9th of January 2014, where I'm supposed to have taken 3.5 million, that West told Judge Thomas that day, which had just been cleared of 15 months earlier in Greece.
I wonder, actually, on that point, I wonder if this ought to have been as part of unused material for your defence team. But they've dismissed this out of hand. It's still
my defence team were just totally used. Well, they weren't used. When we get that lower down, because it's quite staggering that we were talking about it happened in May. Lower down, we've got my defence strategy involved before the email goes out from Cedric to Matthew Clark on the 11th of April that he's just got back from Crete saying that West Yorkshire Police haven't got a clue, but I have. And now we're going, and going after me. So anyway, read on. We're doing well.
Can I suggest that West Yorkshire Police will contact you after the court case and we'll look into the issues you raise about your ex-husband and his financial matters, which are very relevant to this case, your case, that is. Exactly. Can I ask that you now accept that we have done all we can until the end of the trial and we'll be back in touch? Oh, really? God. Talk about being chucked to the curb. You have my email, so please feel free to contact. Regards, DCI Bottomley. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next email. 12th of April 2014 from Stephen Taylor to Jane Thomas, CCing Bottomley and Romana Senior. Ralph Christie, log number, I'm guessing she's reported it to the police again. 1295, 10th for the 4th. Mrs. Thomas, I can confirm that Ralph Christie is on court bail and has been released from prison on specific bail conditions. As Mr. West from the CPS has already informed you, the CPS are reviewing further evidence against Mr. Christie and a decision to add further charges will be made in the near future. Mr. Christie's defence barrister have been served with a number of potential victims who he is not in contact.
and we covered all this episode 5, didn't we? And so I didn't know that Grattage, he's talking about a defence barrister, Stephen Grattage. This is like the 12th of April. I've come out of prison on the 5th of April after a 3-month illegal remand by Andrew West. Cedric and Declan have come to Crete on the same day, been here for 4 days, concocted all this nonsense of no money in Zakros, no money in Bali, he doesn't own anything, which Declan knew I did because he was working with me for 2 years beforehand. And, by the 6 days later, they're already talking to my defence barrister, Stephen Grattage. They've emailed Matthew Clark in Vancouver. They've been in touch with Howard Tennant, saying that there's no money in Zakros. It was taken out in October 2008, apparently, when Cedric's money was taken out, paid for by Mario Churchiani. This is, we're even condensing it with these emails more than what I ever thought we could have done, because of Cedric's text to me in May 2014, where he's going to say, well, I'll let my boys decide it and I will put you in front of a judge. Judge Durham Hall. Exactly what he did to protect his own ass.
This is an oxymoron coming now. Okay. I believe at this time, Romana Senior has made contact with you to arrange an appointment to look at evidence that you state you can provide and to obtain a statement from you, which will then review as to its relevance, re the case. Yet, you go to the above one, he's saying basically, well, we'll just look at it after the case. In addition to that, what's his name? Stephen Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Apparently he's reviewed it already, and there's no merit in anything you've got anyway.
Yes, in 2010. And then then after all this, he puts out this what was this order against Jane Thomas not to contact him again.
Yeah, that's shocking, that is, yeah. I'm aware that Romana Senior will be contacting you next week to discuss the above. In the meantime, I'd advise you not to speak to Mr. Christie, and block him from your phone and or your email. That's the end of that.
Yeah, but not to speak to Mr. Christie. Obviously me. Well, of course she's up in arms because she knows that I'm totally innocent. She knows, well, she's experienced the rape. She knows she's down half of the 3.5 million. And when it says not to speak to Mr. Christie, this is exactly what Cedric, my brother, was doing at the same time to Pat Brownette, Paul Walker, Mario Churchioni, Dave Francis, Roger Barnes, all these other people, not to speak to Mr. Christie. If they'd have spoken, and of course, Jane did speak to me, I think. I don't think I had a breakdown in the relationship with her. We certainly know that Cedric was speaking to her because Cedric's produced the crimes against Stephen Thomas with the lawyer we've mentioned before in the show in June 2014 of 5 cases of rape and 2 cases of abuse. So the idea of not to speak to Mr. Christie again, when I first spoke to Jane Thomas in February 2010, first time I ever met her, where she says that explains to me about the rapes and how that Simon and Stephen Thomas had hidden this money. So the economic crime unit of West Yorkshire Police is actually backing the criminals and not what I call bona fide businessmen.
Okay, we need to go for a break. I just need to give you a quick shout out on the Lucy Letby piece that we played. It's from a TikToker called Hayley Comet, Comet. She discusses true crime stories on her TikTok. She's a lovely woman, a mum, and she loves discussing true crime. So her name is Hayley, Hayley Comet, and if you guys want to look out for her, please look at what she does. Now, What's your next song, Ralph, please?
My next song is Blue All Rise. This is in honor to all the people who have been deceived by what other people have said. Blue All Rise.
Okay. And who's that by? Because I've never heard it before.
I sent you the link.
Okay. All right, let's play that now.
Yeah.
Your Honor, please, gotta believe what I say. What I will tell happened just the other day. I must confess, cause I've had about enough. I need your help, gotta make this here thing stop.
Baby, I swear I'll tell the truth about all the things you used to do. And if you thought you had me fooled, I'm telling you now, objection overruled. Here we go, oh baby.
One for the money and the free rise, it's two for the lie that you deny. All rise, all rise, three for the calls you've been making, it's four all the times you've been faking. All rise, I'm gonna tell it to you. All rise, I rest my case. You're on the stand with your back against the wall, nowhere to run and nobody you can call. Oh no, I just can't wait. Now the case is open wide. You'll try to pray, but the jury will decide.
Baby, I swear I'll tell the truth about all the things you used to do. And if you thought you had me fooled, I'm telling you, objection overruled. Oh baby,
One for the money and the free rise, it's two for the lie that you deny. All rise, three for the calls you've been making, it's four all the times you've been faking. All rise,
So step back, cause you don't know this cat. I know deep down that you don't want me to react. I lay low, leaving all my options open. The decision of the jury has not been spoken. Step in my house, you find that your stuff is gone. But in reality, to whom does the stuff belong? I bring you into court to preach my order, and you know that you overstepped the border.
one for the money and the free rise, it's two for the lie that you deny. All rise, three for the calls you've been making, it's four all the times you've been faking. All rise, one for the money and the free rise, it's two for the lie that you deny. All rise, three for the calls you've been making, it's four all the times you've been faking. All rise, one for the money and the free rise, it's two for the lie that you deny. All rise, three for the calls you've been making, it's four all the times you've been faking. All rise,
Okay, we are back now. During the break, Ralph, you wanted to talk about Bottomley a bit more. So let's do that then. Let's hear what more you've got to say.
Well, obviously, the listeners have listened to the recording now, and we spoke a little bit about it. I mean, Bottomley clearly states in that interview, he says that this Mr. Keith Boots, or PC Keith Boots, or what he is, was an officer masquerading as a criminal in uniform. Well, and apparently he stole from Trafalgar House all this £1 million worth of drugs or whatever, and the police didn't know anything about it. And then eventually they found him, and his son was involved. Well, I'm sure that it's quite possible that he's been scapegoated and got a long sentence and kept out of the way, because it sounds as if they've all been at it at Trafalgar House. We know Cedric admitted in his confession in July 2021 that he'd stolen from Trafalgar House. Also, I think Cedric admitted he stole from the one at Millgarth in Leeds, the safe house there. And there was an officer that actually said, let us know when Cedric did his confession, that he was quite aware that Cedric was taking stuff from there, but he didn't dare say anything because he was an inspector and he was a lesser officer. Glenn Acornley, that Cedric confided in 2009 on doctor's orders about him being mentally sick and one thing and another and being under police investigators, he left under a cloud for apparently taking cash from Trafalgar House. So it's very strange, isn't it? We've got Simon Bottomley here that we know was heavily involved in Operation Langan, well, probably one of the lead officers with Chris Rowley and Romaina Senior, who actually sent an email out, I think it was November 2014, saying he didn't know anything about Operation Langan, and D.I. Taylor was dealing with it and he had no communication with him. We've already seen 3 emails in March and April 2014 where D.I. Taylor, Romana Senior and Bottomley are copied into emails to Jane Thomas. So what's very, very clear here is that obviously I've come back from my daughter's graduation December the 12th, 2013, that's Lauren, and gone to that and got arrested twice over Christmas. It's very, very clear here that Cedric is still working with Jane Thomas at that point, because I had invited Jane Thomas to come over to Crete at the end of November 2013, which I explained in a different show, to collect some of the money that was stuck in Zachros belonging to Stephen Thomas, because he couldn't fly and his son James could have collected it. Cedric told Jane not to come over. There's no money there. There's no money there. Obviously panicking, because if she had to come over, she could have got this money back. And of course, we now know that Cedric told Pat Brownette that there was no money there in April 2014. So all this period now, we've got me arrested twice over Christmas. We know that Declan went to the police on the 6th of January because he was fed up with the case, not because I was a criminal. He told that to Kath Wormsley at the school gates in Ripon. And then, I was arrested on the 8th and then remanded with all the lies that Andrew West told Judge Thomas that day about me embezzling $3.5 million off Stephen Thomas. Mario Churchione had been ripped off when he clearly hadn't. Cedric had now turned prosecution and was working with him. Yeah, and this was to get me remanded. Well, it's not until June 2014 that Jane Thomas and Cedric actually fall out at Valley Gardens, which we've read about before, when they were dealing with the lawyer that was dealing with the 5 counts of rape against Stephen Thomas and the two beatings that she took. Now that's when Cedric fell out with Jane Thomas, which is late June 2014. So all the time from telling Jane Thomas November 2013 to not come to Crete, and then Stephen Taylor telling Jane Thomas in the email not to speak to Ralph Christie again because more prosecution witnesses have come forward simply down to Cedric and Declan's trip to Crete. But of course Jane Thomas wants no problem with me. She wants to make sure that her ex-husband's convicted for rape and embezzling all this money. And Cedric's still helping at this stage, as I said, till June 2014. Now, this is a huge problem for West Yorkshire Police because Cedric knows that Stephen Thomas is a raper. We all know because he's self-confessed.
Is Jane Thomas pursuing anything?
Well, she gets stonewalled all the time, doesn't she? And what my point here is that Cedric was still going after Stephen Thomas 7 months after he got me remanded at Christmas in 2013, because he obviously thought that West Yorkshire Police would still prosecute him and not do Cedric, even though he was, we knew he was corrupt. Bear in mind, he was the head of money laundering for West Yorkshire Police. So if the West Yorkshire Police want to think about their reputation, how does it look that they've appointed somebody head of money laundering for West Yorkshire Police and suddenly he's convicted? It doesn't look good at all. So they had to get me. But of course, Jane Thomas has kept my thread going alive because Cedric's still working for her and doesn't fall out of her until June 2014, when Cedric's already helped this this QC to get all these counts against Stephen Thomas. So then, obviously, Simon Bottomley must have gone back to Cedric and said, look, there's no way that we can pursue a conviction against Stephen Thomas, because then we'll have to, you're going to get dragged into it, because you're the one that's done all the documentation exposing Stephen Thomas, even though he's done a self-confession. So at that point, Cedric's not only protected himself, he's actually protected the rapist Stephen Thomas, as has my lawyer Tayeb Ali and Stephen Grattage and Chris Tarani, because they all knew. Well, we all knew that Stephen Thomas was a rapist and a money embezzler since March 2010. But everything has been concocted about me after I got cleared of the trial here. Where Cedric helped me, where Stephen Grattage helped me, where Tayeb Ali helped me, where Benedict Clark helped me, where Pat Brownette helped me, where Mario Cercione helped me. So they've just made. People say, "Oh, he stayed so calm with it," because I've stayed so calm with it because they've just so many own goals. They're all as corrupt as each other. And this is why I want to go back to Simon Bottomley, because he's read Cedric's confession in 2021. He's quite happy to go out there and spout about how great West Yorkshire Police are. 99%, 99.9 are honest and all the rest of it. When I know that he was embroiled in the drug dealers in Operation Godstone, Operation Folkestone, and there was another one as well. I think it was Flashdance in Bradford. And they have to have this connection with these drug dealers, because these drug dealers have been there for years, and the last thing they want is them to be arrested and then another group from Liverpool come over that they can't control. The money in Bradford, there's more money going through Bradford in drug deals and Halifax than any other business. But it's working together with West Yorkshire Police and drug dealers. It's something that I've never even taken a drug in my life. I don't even know what they look like. So, for me to have got caught up in this is a bit bizarre. So that's why I wanted to say a bit more about Simon Bottomley. DCI's Julie Sykes was involved in the case of getting after Keith Boots. Well, Julie Sykes was also involved with Bottomley protecting the rape of on Jane Thomas of Stephen Thomas. Her name cropped up in both cases. And Simon Bottomley says that he wants to act swiftly and quickly to get corruption out of West Yorkshire Police. Well, he was actually protecting Cedric and Stephen Thomas for 3 years, quite happy to send me to prison, even though I'm totally innocent, for 7 years. Won't answer any calls or anything like that now from me or Stephen or Jane Thomas. So, it's captured, Brad. It's captured in this period now. We know what it's kind of happened.
Yeah. I got a story. It's just come in my mind.
Yeah.
Of police corruption, and I forgot all about it. It was only that you mentioned about stealing from property and stuff like that. Just before I get to that, because I know Jane Thomas listens to the show, what she needs to do is speak to Chris Rudd Solicitors. I'm going to give his phone number out now. And they do conditional fee agreement work, which means no win, no fee. So it's Chris Rudd, RUDD, telephone number 01925 351 350. Go and speak to them and see if they'll take your case on under no win, no fee, which is called a conditional fee agreement. Now,
Can I just say something, Brad? It's quite simple. You shouldn't need a solicitor. You've got a police force to deal with criminals, haven't you, in that country?
Well, you think so, but why are they advertising their services? Because the reason being,
why isn't Mayor Brabham, who knows all about this, has done since 2021? She's in charge of the policing for West Yorkshire. She's a lady. She was a Labour MP. She could just do this with a stroke of her hand today.
Well, they would argue we're not perfect. So that's a reason.
Crime's a crime. Whoever commits it, you can't. Cedric's admitted committing umpteen crimes. He's not being prosecuted. I haven't committed any crimes, and I've been prosecuted.
Well, Stephen Thomas himself has confessed to a crime that's not been prosecuted.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Moores, who's doing my appeal, and we go on and on and on about it. I shouldn't even need to have an appeal myself, really, because Cedric Declan, for starters, should be arrested. Stephen Thomas should be arrested. Simon Thomas should be arrested. Everybody that committed perjury in my trial should be arrested. It's the law, isn't it, of your country?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a fallacy to believe that the police are not corrupt, if anybody believes that.
I,
They,
I always, I always thought Cedric was honest. The whole family thought Cedric was honest, and I was an honest businessman, and I was going about my life. I didn't expect this to have happened to me, And then you've got the likes of Jimmy Savile walking free, just simply down to West Yorkshire Police, and the CPS for many, many decades. So I appreciate you giving the number out, but good. I've used lawyers and it costs money, but it's just a no-brainer, isn't it? That I've had a miscarriage of justice because Cedric's done confessions and Jane Thomas has been raped.
yeah, I think in Thomas's case, it's really easy, low-hanging fruit, which is very convictable in my opinion. I mean, what I will say, what I mean by police are corrupt, I'm not saying all police are corrupt, obviously. I'm saying there's a decent element. I'm just going to go and share this story with you. Okay, this is a story. Right? I had to have a driver for a couple of months because of the work that I was doing and traveling I was doing, and the company I was working with didn't want me to do the driving. And anyway, they employed a former police officer to be a driver, and he's only young, and he was from Bournemouth Police Station in Hertfordshire.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very, very likable guy, really nice, very chatty. And he seemed like he understood about, because I used to take clients to places and that sort of stuff as well. And we would have conversations in the back of the car. So it's important that, the driver understands about privacy and that sort of thing, because he used to have to pick up people as well. Anyway, one day my father-in-law called me and he said, what's your driver's name? I gave him the name. And he said, he's in the newspaper. All right, what for? And I was thinking like something good. He's been convicted. He did ask for a day off. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? Of basically stealing £210 from an arrestees. Right? It sounds very minor.
Yeah.
But in his defense, in the magistrate's, he never told me that he went to court or anything like that. And £210 doesn't sound like a lot of money, right? But anyway, he did it and he pled guilty. But in his mitigation, he said he's only a young police officer and they all do it.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, yeah, I mean, there's pictures, isn't there, of police officers searching police's houses and putting money into their pockets. So, but we're talking here about corruption at the highest level of West Yorkshire.
I get it. But
yeah,
if you start them young, just imagine what goes on. And when you go back to Cedric's confession, as I said to you, that's not all of it. It's impossible. What he's looking for empathy, and he's only told you less than half of the story.
Yeah.
My belief.
Yeah. And he knows he's corrupt. He knows Simon Bottomley is corrupt. He knows Romano Senior is corrupt. And he knows that the top brass of West Yorkshire Police has always been corrupt because he's mentioned it in many emails when he was on side with me to Tayyab Ali. I mean, coming back to Tayyab Ali, he goes quite a few podcasts because he's part of this Global 195, which is the defence for the people of Gaza, lawyers from around the world. And he goes on also, there's a program that I picked up on called The T, which he went on last week. And it's Dr. Milliam, somebody over who takes it. And on there, he's saying to me, the problem with the UK is it's the rich never go to jail. And I kind of picked up on this. I'm thinking, well, okay, Tayyab, you've said that. I mean, perhaps because he's doing all these shows, he might even come on Dreamcatchers for a radio program. Because I think we need to get somebody else on, don't we? Because everybody we've asked, Matthew Clark, or I've asked, Declan, Cedric, Paul Walker, Pat Brownette, they just don't come on. But, we've had no complaints, as you say, about what I've said. Declan should come on, shouldn't he? Simon Thomas, they can't, can they? Because they just know they're all roped up inside this. But coming back to Tayyab Ali,
you've not really talked about Declan that much. You've avoided.
No, I think we'll do a full show on him next week if he's not been arrested beforehand or done a confession himself. But the coming back to Tyre Valley, he says it's the rich don't go to prison in the UK. That's the problem. Well, I find it. I've emailed the lady that texts the show and say, "Look, you might well say this because apparently Stephen Thomas and Simon Thomas are from a wealthy background, and they've avoided going to prison. But Tayab should have defended me if I'm not classed as wealthy or whatever you want to say, because I haven't committed a crime, not based on because I haven't got money. I mean, it's obvious I have money because of the businesses I was doing in Crete, but they've obviously avoided Stephen and Simon Thomas paying this massive tax bill, and they got a large amount of money in December 2013 from the sale of Westex, which was 15 million. So it's quite obvious, isn't it, behind the scenes that the Thomases have splashed a bit of cash. I know they did in Crete in April 2013 because I've got witnesses of that. And this is what's kind of happened. I've gone through my legal aid in the trial. Everybody's been tickled. Probably Simon Bottomley as well. This is the sad thing because they've got many friends at Basra, Petra Basra. They've got the friends at the golf club. Defence. Don't use any defence witnesses. Christie's going down. Get him out of the way. We can continue with all our crime and all the rest of it, and all go away. Well, if that's the policing in the UK, it's a disgrace.
Mm. I know you mentioned Ecclestone as well, didn't you?
Well, there again, we're back to Operation Larkshot. There's a guy called Daniel Rawson, got 10.5 years. Now, this business in Bradford that they had was actually passed by West Yorkshire Police as a legal business in 2013. So, and what was kind of happening was James Stunt, who was married to Ecclestone's daughter at the time, was had a company in London called Nine something or other, and they were melting all this gold down in Bradford and then selling it, the gold, and Ecclestone was buying it and putting it into what Ecclestone called a hedge fund in Singapore or somewhere like that. The papers reported that it went to Dubai, but that's not the case, because this was a legalized business. It was the police officer, I think, that oversaw it was Jane Booth, who was at Dudley Hill Police Station. So it was all agreed with all the rest of it. Now, of course, they're cleaning all this money of 300 million or whatever it is, and the police are monitoring it. It's all going fine and what have you. And then Ecclestone and Stunt, I think they must have had a fallout, or because this money's gone through Stunt to Ecclestone, and the Inland Revenue's investigated Ecclestone for not declaring it. It's all come back down to Bradford. Now, this one guy, Daniel Rawson, who was defended by Ben Myers again, who was the QC that was meant to have defended Lucy Leckby, who's from Exchange Chambers in Leeds, has gone and got 10.5 years. And Ecclestone did get involved, but what he did was he got a suspended sentence, I think, for 18 months on the provision that he paid a massive amount of money. And it was Penfold.
It was hundreds of millions, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. But Penfold, who was head of the Serious Fraud Office, who was involved in my case as well, because he was part of the CPS up north then with Andrew West, was started prosecuting Ecclestone, and Ecclestone would have probably thought he was going to go to prison. It came back then to he paid his fine. James Stunt didn't go to prison because he'd had connections with Cedric back up in Mayfair in 2011, and back in West Yorkshire through the jeweller's shop years before that. So all James Stunt had to kind of say to his defence or to the prosecution, well, look, if you're going to prosecute me for this, I'm going to bring Cedric Christie into it. Well, so James Stunt's walked free. The one guy that's innocent is now doing a 10.5-year sentence, arrested by the same officer that I was arrested by. The name will come back to me, but Romania Senior is heavily involved with this. David Charity's involved with this. Simon Bottomley again is involved in this. So it's they put the wrong man in prison again, and it's simply because West Yorkshire Police have not prosecuted Cedric even after his self-confession. even though they knew it started with him in 2008 before it moved on to me. So now you've got, they can't, anything to do with Cedric, anybody's got to say, oh, well, I was a friend of Cedric. Oh, we'll prosecute you then. Crazy.
Yeah, going back to that driver guy, something else I remember him. You know where he mentions his mitigation was everybody else does it, um, and he actually did a police interview under caution. And they asked him for a list of names, and
Yeah.
they wrote down the names. They're all still working at the police force at the time as well. He was the only one that got prosecuted, and obviously got sacked. So there is massive cover-ups that goes on
Yeah.
because all of them should have been investigated.
Yeah, they scapegoated me and to stop them all being investigated because Cedric's got stuff on Bottomley. You know, like I've said before, they've worked together for 20 odd years. You know, they might have all been out to the same whorehouse together, or they might have all, you know, they're very raucous of police when they go out. I've seen them all be in bars and all get naked and then drink pints, and the staff can't do anything because they know they're policemen. You know, they all say they're kind of above the law. When Cedric had his stag do in Harrogate, I was his best man. But what actually went on at that stag do, I was quite horrified. But he's surrounded by coppers.
Right. Okay. Was it laborious or
Well,
nefarious?
I mean, they're not clever, are they? Really, policemen? They're not. You know, they laugh at anything, and they're a bit. You know, they're all they're not educated, or you know, I mean, Cedric, head of the economic crime unit and money laundering. You know, he doesn't. He can't even read a balance sheet. So, you know, then they're all coming from him. I mean, there's a good laugh in some of it, and played football with them, all the rest of it. But they're all, well, they're just a strange breed, aren't they?
Well, he seems to have done well for himself, though. In all fairness, he had a decent disposable income, by the sounds of it.
I don't think they do really, but I don't think so. I think you've got more police probably leaving now than ever before.
What about Cedric, that is?
Well, I think Cedric he's got his police pension, which was the most important thing. He wasn't bothered about me going to jail as long as he kept his police pension, and that's the same of all the officers. D.I. Taylor, you know, we spoke about him crying in Tony Wormore's office about, you know, they're quite happy to put me into a prison, aren't they? As long as, you know, who's innocent, and go on with their lives. But I think Cedric's pension now it'll be what, 2,000 a month. He'll get that for life, and well, I don't know what'll happen if he really should be arrested and start paying back the money to people that have lost it through his and Declan's idiot, all their lies in April 2014.
Yeah, because Cedric, from memory, is someone that's actually profited from all of this, isn't it? From property deals that he's done, he's come out clean with profit.
Yeah, well, most people have. The only problem started was when the West Yorkshire Police froze the bank accounts of the corporate company Veron AE and my personal ones and what have you, which, you know, it still causes massive problems for me still today, to be fair. You know, but he said, of course, said it's done well out of it. And then if he's dipping his hand in the till at Trafalgar House and Bridewell in Leeds and what have you, and, you know, it's, you know, it's a bonus. I mean, it's quite shocking. I mean, really, the Home Office should be involved in my case and close that police force down and just try and start again. But again, the Home Office is probably embroiled in it all.
Well, I very much doubt they would do anything like that. We do need a police force, Ralph.
Well, they do. They put Greater Manchester Police into special measures, didn't they, because of problems that happened there? But
yeah, I'm aware of that. But the other thing as well, what they're looking to do is change the police force even more now, where they are saying that they're going to start amalgamating police forces. So
yes, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge problem, isn't it? Because you've got so many different kind of ethnic areas now, or you know, it's a multicultural society, and I don't know where Britain's going to go. Actually, myself, I'm just fortunate that I'm out of it and live over here, and we have, as I said before, we have very, very little crime. Yeah, and you know, there's something going on most weeks, sun's shining, and so I'm blessed really. But you know, the police are there, aren't they, to deal with crimes, but what they get involved in themselves is criminality, and then they don't prosecute the right people. So I don't know what to suggest.
Now, Ralph, we've been mentioning this for weeks to talk about your son, Declan Christie, and I think we're now at the point, at that juncture, where we should talk about him, because he helped get you imprisoned. For what reason, I don't know, but let's try and talk about this. I know you've got a letter that unfortunately you're going to have to read out. I know it's uncomfortable for you.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it. I don't mind uncomfortable things. Obviously, I've sent you a copy of the photograph, so on WhatsApp, so you can, you can follow what I'm saying, so you know it's genuine. And obviously, Declan worked with me from 2000 and probably he knew about the business over here. He lived with us from 2007 and went back to the UK January 2011 and moved into a warehouse where he picked up the flooring trade, because obviously things were difficult here, with a guy called Dominic Barnes. 25 grand was paid for it to get him going. And this is an email that he sent to Cedric on the 18th of April 2011, 10:30 at night, plus 1 hour. And he's titled it My Personal Simple View, from Declan Christie to Cedric's usual email address. And he's put, "Hi, Ced, with reflection to our meeting today, as we all really know, things are really complicated, but also very serious. The only point we achieved to understand was that my dad has managed to take money off all close friends and family. I genuinely believe, in brackets, he's put no, KNOW, none of these transactions were completed in false intentions," because obviously he was working with me at the time and was heavily involved in most deals, including Bali, where he was there, where the money was paid. And he says, "My father is in desperate need of finance, and if this finance is not received by Wednesday, my father is looking at a very long time in jail and losing all his valuable assets, where many friends and family have invested into with good intentions, meaning they will all lose their money. And for some individuals, this is life-changing. This is the simple way I see it, is my father has 3 reasonably wealthy brothers, which I do, which is Lance, Garth and Cedric, who have all put money into him at this rate, may be proving difficult to get back. If he receives this money he is needing, it will mean he is a free figure, which will allow him to continue doing business with no restrictions. He will never be prosecuted in Greece. He will free up assets which can be generated into money or transferred over to people, i.e. yourself or Lance or Garth. Obviously, the finance plays a big role in this situation, but it comes nowhere near the fact an innocent man, a loved family member, should spend years in probably one of the most horrendous cells in Europe." Obviously meaning the Greek prisons, which they have a very bad reputation. In fact, they were better than the UK ones, to be fair. Anyway, there is one thing I know for certain, regardless to the past. If I was in a position to help a family member of the same blood, I would not even consider in trying my hardest. You, Lance and Garth, are very much likely to see a return on your money if he is not in jail. He will also be free to proceed with much less pressure on his shoulders than he has over the last 2 or 3 years. Between the 3 of you, this money is probably not hard to find. In my opinion, this is the only option. Despite your thoughts, beliefs and past, I genuinely don't believe you can see your brother, your own blood, be sent down. If that's the case, it's highly upsetting. I will probably see you tomorrow, Cedric, at the barbecue. See you then. Many thanks, Declan. And it's quite interesting there. He's signed it off, Director Declan at PrestigeWood.Company UK, and his telephone number. Main warehouse, 14 Common Road, Lowmore, Bradford, BD12 OSD, which is the exact place where Dominic Barnes allowed him to pick up the knowledge of the flooring trade that's made Declan a very, very successful person he is today. So obviously this is like 2011. and Declan's helping me right up through the Greek trial with Cedric, and then of course in December 2013 or early January 2014.
So did he actually get a response from that at all, or was there any family discussions? Obviously,
yeah, there was discussions because obviously they met at the barbecue. Lance and Garth are kind of estranged anyway from the family. They have been. That's another story. But they did help. They have helped me, and they certainly helped me with the trial over here in 2013. So everybody was behind me, and we did get the response from that we needed, and that went right the way through, and till I got exonerated here, and then Cedric started all his shenanigans in November 2013 and got me arrested. Declan says that he's had enough of the case. He's going to the police. Nothing to do with my criminality. He just had enough of the case, and I think he wanted that because he needed to get me out of the way so he could take over the businesses and even enhance the businesses, because obviously it's not good having your father, who's been investigated since 2009. We're now 4 or 5 years further on, and he's still being investigated. Whatever Declan did, as you said in early 2014, it's quite horrendous, and there's no doubt about it now. Obviously, he's writing this email to Cedric, who becomes his partner in crime in 2014 to then jail me. And you've got to bear in mind that Cameron, Cedric's son, joined Declan 3 months after this email, and they're still working together now. And they sat most days in the trial at Bradford in 2014, knowing that they had sowed the seeds that would lead to the unlawful convictions, and still continuing as normally. Are you going to be okay, Dad? We'll take you out for a meal. They've got nothing on you and all the rest of it. And of course, he's totally stabbed me in the back with Cedric. So I think this is a little introduction about what Declan did in 2011. And then next week, we can go on to some more communications with him in 2014 and a letter that I sent him in 2016 from jail that he never responded to. And then a couple of letters that I've sent him since then. But like I said, Declan's played a bigger role in this than Cedric, because Cedric couldn't have got the prosecution without Declan's lies to him. And the biggest lie was Bally, about the 400,000 being there, because he actually saw it being paid on the 7th of March 2009, which part of it was Howard Tennant's money.
So
and it was also.
Why do you think Declan flipped?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Declan had a very, very privileged upbringing. He had private education, and he's an international squash player. I think he's top paddle tennis players in the world, and very, very successful at business. Maybe I was too good to him, gave him a very, very privileged upbringing, and travelled the world with him. And I just wanted him to be somebody that brought up the way that I hadn't, because I never had these sporting opportunities. And it takes more from the parents to get their kids to be at a world-class standard. Ask any of them. It takes more for the parents, for the children to do it, to achieve it, than it does for the child himself. It's a bit like this swimmer, isn't it, that's now married into the chef's wife and what have you, where the mother wasn't allowed to go to the wedding. The amount, it's very, very sad, really, isn't it? And of course, that son has completely forgotten about how he got where he is. And Declan has long gone forgotten how. Well, he can't forget it because it's fact, but he's completely ignores me. He came over here for a few days in 2020, lasted 2 days, and went again because he knew that I was onto his case. So he's got to live with this, brothers.
I was speaking to you talk about upbringing. I was speaking to a violinist yesterday. Actually interviewed her. Lovely, lovely, lovely young lady. Only 25. And she said basically if it wasn't for her parents, she wouldn't be where she is. She goes on tour, all this sort of stuff. She's amazing. Such a lovely, lovely young lady. And same age as my daughter, 25. And she said basically parents were both tennis professionals. They're not pros, they're professionals. But they gave up all their time to take her to all her lessons, travel all around the country, around different jurisdictions elsewhere. And she's now fully independent. Her full-time job is a professional violinist.
I hope she acknowledges that her parents were doing it. You see, this is a terrible thing about it.
Well, she was the one that told me. So
yeah. Declan can't deny it really, and it wasn't just Deborah, his mother. We've got to remember what Jane Snowball, my second wife, did for Declan, because she did more running around than Deborah did. She was up and down to Birmingham for tournaments and Pontefract every weekend, where there's a very good school coaching. We went to Seattle. We went to Montreal. He was the number 2 for Greece, so he was going to play in Switzerland and all the rest of it when we were based here. I built him the squash court in the garden that cost him 120 grand. So a lot of it goes into it. And as a father, I'm very proud of him. People say that I'm jealous of him. I want to get, there's not an ounce of jealousy in me. I'm very, very pleased for what he's done. But this is the sad thing is, it's like, he's quite happy to see me get sentenced to 7 years, and then hardly visited me, if at all. And when he did visit me, I was just wanting to get to the bottom of how am I in jail, Declan? And of course, he knew that from 2014 working with Cedric.
And okay, we won't go into too much. We've only got 5 minutes left anyway. But why? Because obviously you've had a lot of time to reflect and think about this sort of stuff. Why do you actually think he flipped? Because you've explained eloquently Cedric's motivation. It's to save his own bacon. But why Declan?
Well, there was something that happened in October 2013 where North Yorkshire Police were investigating Cameron and Cedric for credit card fraud. And there was a crime number that was issued for that. Of course, again, for Cedric, it'd be very, very, it'd be in a very difficult position if his own son got convicted of card fraud. Bear in mind, West Yorkshire Police knew that Cedric was corrupt in 2008. So again, it's about West Yorkshire Police and North Yorkshire Police protecting their reputations. So Declan and Cameron were definitely in trouble in late 2013 through credit card fraud. And of course, so all the police have to say is, well, we'll drop that, Declan, if you go against your dad and Cedric. We know you're a career cop, but we can't have you being convicted because you're head of money laundering for West Yorkshire Police. It looked very bad. So off you go nail your dad, and you two will be set free. And Simon Bottomley will have been behind all this, and Chris Rowley, Ramona Senior, D.I. Taylor, my defence. This is what it is. It's quite shocking.
And the plan is to discuss this more next week in episode number 17.
Yeah, and reach out to Declan, see if he'll speak to you. I'm quite happy for him to come over and sit next to me and do a programme and say, well, these are the facts, what we're going to do about it. He doesn't want to show, he doesn't want to hide for the rest of his life from me or from many other people who are down a lot of money because of his stupidity, including his father-in-law. So the people should stop looking at me and see how this has happened, and hold the people accountable that have ruined the businesses that I was doing over here, successfully for 5 or 6 years before the crap started.
Yeah. Okay. We're literally at the end now of this episode. Would you like to play your final song out?
Yeah, I've changed my mind on the song. I'm going to go for Kenny Rogers, Cowards of the County. Yorkshire's a great county. We don't have many cowards there, but we're certainly finding out that there is a lot of cowards in this programme, Braddis. And of course, a lady, unfortunately, was raped in that song. So it's quite a relevant song. And this has just come to me in the last 10 minutes talking about this.
Okay, let's play this now.
Everyone considered him a coward of the county. He'd never stood one single time to prove the county wrong. His mama named him Tommy, but folks just called him Yellow. Something always told me they were reading Tommy wrong. He was only 10 years old when his daddy died in prison. I looked after Tommy 'cause he was my brother's son. I still recall the final words my brother said to Tommy. Son, my life is over, but yours has just begun. Promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Walk away from trouble if you can. Now, it won't mean you're weak if you turn the other cheek. I hope you're old enough to understand. Son, you don't have to fight to be a man. There's someone for everyone, and Tommy's love was Becky. In her arms he didn't have to prove he was a man. One day while he was working, the Gatlin boys came calling. They took turns at Becky, and there was 3 of them. Tommy opened up the door, saw his Becky crying. The torn dress, the shattered look was more than he could stand. He reached above the fireplace and took down his daddy's picture. As his tears fell on his daddy's face, he heard these words again. Promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Walk away from trouble if you can. Now, it won't mean you're weak if you turn the other cheek. I hope you're old enough to understand. Son, you don't have to fight to be a man. The Gatlin boys just laughed at him when he walked into the bar room. One of them got up and met him halfway across the floor. When Tommy turned around, they said, "Hey, look, old Yellow's leaving." But you could have heard a pin drop when Tommy stopped and locked the door. 20 years of crawling was bottled up inside him. He wasn't holding nothing back, he let 'em have it all. When Tommy left the barroom, not a Gatlin boy was standing. He said, "This one's for Becky," as he watched the last one fall. And I heard him say, "I promised your dad not to do the things you've done. I'll walk away from trouble when I can. Now please don't think I'm weak, I didn't turn the other cheek. And Papa, I sure hope you understand. Sometimes you gotta fight when you're a man." Everyone considered him the coward of the county.